I am sitting here in my empty apartment staring at a stack of unpaid bills that used to have my name on them. 3 months ago, I was proud to be the man of the house taking care of my mom, Sarah, my sister, Emma, and my cousin, Madison, after Dad passed away. I thought providing for them made me a good son and brother. But every family discussion, every decision, every plan they made came with the same two words that slowly chipped away at my soul: girls only. I used to think it was just their way of bonding. Now I realize I was funding my own exclusion from the family I was working so hard to support. Maybe I was too generous for my own good. Before I tell you what happened when I finally said enough is enough, let me know in the comments where you are watching from. Hit that like button if you have ever felt invisible in your own home, and subscribe, because what happened next changed everything. You will want to hear how 3 women who thought they could live without me learned the hard way that respect cannot be bought, but it can definitely be withdrawn. Let me paint you the picture of how this all started. My name is Dante. I am 28 years old, and I work as a software engineer, making $85,000 a year. When my father died 3 years ago from a heart attack, I made a promise at his funeral that I would take care of our family. My mom, Sarah, was 52, working part-time at a nail salon, making maybe $1,500 a month on good weeks. My sister Emma was in her senior year studying marketing, and my cousin Madison had just started community college, still figuring out what she wanted to do with her life. I stepped up without hesitation. I took over the rent payments of $2,400 a month for our 4-bedroom house. I covered utilities that ran about 300, monthly groceries that easily hit $800, and I was paying Madison's tuition fees while helping Emma with her final year expenses. I thought I was being the man my father would have wanted me to be. I thought I was honoring his memory by keeping our family together and comfortable. The first crack in this perfect family picture happened on a Tuesday evening in March. I had just finished a brutal 14-hour day working on a client project that could make or break my promotion chances. When I walked through the front door at almost 10 p.m., I found all 3 women huddled around the kitchen table with fabric samples, paint swatches, and what looked like renovation catalogs spread everywhere. They were deep in discussion about redoing the entire kitchen. We were talking about new cabinets, granite countertops, maybe even knocking down the wall to create an open concept design. This was easily a $20,000 project, and I was the only one in the house with steady income to fund it. I grabbed a beer from the fridge and pulled up a chair ready to dive into the planning. I had some practical questions about timeline, budget, and whether we should get multiple contractor quotes. Before I could even sit down completely, my mom looked up with that gentle but firm smile I knew too well. "This is girls-only discussion, honey. We will let you know what we decide." I stood there holding my beer, feeling like I had just walked into the wrong house. These were major changes to the home I was paying for, decisions that would affect my credit cards and bank account, and I was being dismissed like a child who had wandered into adult conversation. I tried to laugh it off. "Mom, I am just trying to help with the practical stuff. You know, budget, timeline, finding good contractors." Emma looked up from a magazine and rolled her eyes. "Dante, this is about style and design. You would not understand the aesthetic choices we are making." Madison nodded in agreement. "Yeah, we have got this covered. Do not worry about it." I went to my room that night feeling confused and a little hurt, but I told myself it was just about interior design. Women probably did know better about colors and decorating. I was overthinking it. 2 weeks later, Madison came to me with news that she wanted to change her major from business to fine arts. This would require transferring to a more expensive school and would add an extra $3,000 to her yearly tuition costs. When she told me, I could see the excitement in her eyes, but I also felt the responsibility weighing on my shoulders. I sat her down for what I thought would be a helpful conversation about the realities of an art career. I was not trying to crush her dreams, but I wanted to make sure she understood the financial challenges ahead. I suggested maybe minoring in art while keeping a more stable major, or looking into graphic design programs that combined creativity with marketable skills. Before Madison could even respond, Emma jumped into the conversation like she was defending her sister from an attack. "Madison, do not listen to him. This is about your dreams, not his practical, boring stuff. You are an artist, and you should follow your passion." I tried to explain that I was not against her dreams. I just wanted to help her think through all the angles. But the damage was done. They had already decided I was the dream killer, the practical bore who did not understand creative souls. That night, I accidentally saw something that made my blood run cold. Madison had left her phone on the kitchen counter, and a notification lit up the screen. It was from a group chat called Johnson Girls Only, and I could see just enough of the preview to catch my name and something about not including and boring advice. I did not snoop through her phone, but my mind was racing. They had a group chat that specifically excluded me. They were talking about me behind my back, making family decisions without me planning things I was not allowed to know about. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing more signs, conversations that stopped when I walked into rooms, shared looks between the three of them when I would suggest anything practical or ask questions about household decisions. I found out they had planned a shopping trip to the outlet malls without mentioning it to me, and when I asked why I had not been invited, Emma just shrugged and said they figured I would be too busy with work. I was working 60-hour weeks to support a family that was treating me like a roommate they barely tolerated. Every bill, every expense, every financial responsibility landed on my shoulders. But every decision, every plan, every moment of connection was girls only. I was funding my own exclusion, and the worst part was that I was starting to realize they did not even see anything wrong with it. The breaking point came on my mom's 53rd birthday in April. I had spent weeks planning the perfect celebration for her. I made reservations at the Oak Room, this upscale steakhouse downtown that she had always wanted to try but said was too expensive. I booked a table for 4 people, planning to take the whole family out for a memorable evening. The morning of her birthday, I had an emergency client meeting that I could not reschedule. A major software bug had crashed one of our biggest account systems, and I was the lead developer who needed to fix it. I told everyone at breakfast that I would be tied up from 9 a.m. until about 11, but then I would be free for the rest of the day to celebrate. I worked as fast as I could solving the crisis and getting the client system back online. By 11:15, I was walking through our front door ready to spend the day making Mom's birthday special. But the house was completely empty. On the kitchen counter, there was a handwritten note that felt like a punch to the gut. Gone to celebrate Mom's birthday. Girls' day out. Don't wait up. Sarah Emma Madison. I called my mom's phone immediately, my heart pounding with confusion and hurt. When she answered, I could hear laughter and restaurant noise in the background. "Oh, sweetie, we did not want to bother you. You looked so stressed with work this morning, and you know how these business emergencies can drag on all day. We decided to just go ahead and celebrate without you." I stood in our empty kitchen, still holding the phone, trying to process what I was hearing. They had not even tried to wait for me. They had not called to check if I was finished with work. They had simply decided that Mom's birthday was better celebrated without me. That evening, I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw Emma's post that made everything crystal clear. There was a photo of the three of them at the Ivy, this trendy restaurant that cost twice as much as the place I had chosen. They were all dressed up, huge smiles, raising champagne glasses. The caption read, "Best Girls' Day Ever, number, girls only, number, birthday queen." They had celebrated my mom's birthday at a restaurant I could never afford posting it on social media like a celebration of my absence. The number girls only hashtag felt like a knife twist. When they came home around 10 p.m., they were loaded down with shopping bags from Nordstrom, Sephora, and other high-end stores. They were giggling and talking about what an amazing day they had had, completely oblivious to how devastated I felt. I waited until they had settled in, then I asked the question I was dreading the answer to. "How did you guys pay for dinner? And all this shopping?" Emma looked at me like I had asked the most ridiculous question in the world. "We used the family credit card, duh. It's Mom's birthday. The family credit card, the one that I paid off every month, the one that was linked to my bank account and my credit score." I tried to keep my voice calm. I had made reservations for all of us tonight. I wanted to be part of celebrating Mom's birthday. My mom patted my arm like I was a child who did not understand adult situations. "Dante, you are sweet, but sometimes women need their own space. You would not understand our conversations anyway. We talked about girl stuff all day." Madison chimed in with a bright smile that felt completely tone-deaf. "Yeah, we talked about relationships and beauty products and fashion. You would have been bored out of your mind." Emma added the final insult. "Besides, you always make everything about money and being practical. Today was about fun and celebration." I went to my room and checked the credit card statement online. $1,247. They had spent $1,200 in one afternoon celebrating a birthday that I was not invited to, using money I had earned working 14-hour days. But the real breaking point was still coming. 3 days later, Emma made an announcement over dinner that sent me over the edge. Her boyfriend Jake was going to move in with us. Just like that. No discussion, no asking for my opinion, no consideration of how this would affect household dynamics or expenses. I asked the obvious question: is Jake going to help with rent and utilities? Emma actually laughed. Oh, come on, you can handle it. Besides, Jake is still looking for work, so he cannot really contribute right now. I felt my blood pressure rising, so I am supposed to support another adult who is not even family. Madison jumped to Emma's defense immediately. Yeah, and Jake can help with guy stuff around the house. Finally, someone who gets it. My mom nodded approvingly. It will be nice to have balance in the house. There has been too much testosterone in this house lately. I stared at the three of them, and something clicked in my brain. They saw me as the problem. I was the one bringing negative energy with my practical concerns and financial questions. I was the testosterone that was throwing off their perfect girls-only harmony. Jake was going to be welcomed into conversations and decisions that I was excluded from. He was going to be part of their inner circle while I remained the outsider who paid for everything. That night I lay awake staring at the ceiling, and I realized something that should have been obvious months earlier. I was not their son, brother, and cousin. I was their ATM. I was the invisible man who funded their lifestyle but was not worthy of inclusion in their lives. They had made it clear that everything important happened in girls-only spaces that I would never be welcome in. So I decided it was time to find out how well their girls-only world could function without my money supporting it. I spent the entire night making a plan that would change everything. By 6 a.m., I had mapped out every step of what I was going to do. This was not going to be an angry outburst or an emotional reaction. This was going to be a calculated, strategic withdrawal of my financial support to teach them exactly what my contributions were worth. First, I drove to a completely different bank across town and opened a new checking account. I did not want them to accidentally see bank statements or have any access to information about my finances. Then I called my HR department and changed my direct deposit to the new account effective immediately. Next, I went through every single recurring payment that I had set up for household expenses. Internet service, electricity, water, gas trash, pick up the family cell phone plan, car insurance for mom's car, Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, gym memberships for Emma and Madison. I canceled every single automatic payment. The rent was the only thing I left active for one more month because I needed time to find my own place, and I did not want to put them at risk of eviction, but everything else was going to be their responsibility now. I found a studio apartment about 20 minutes away from my job. It was small but clean, and it would cost me $800 a month instead of the $2,400 I was paying for a house where I was treated like an unwelcome guest. I put down a deposit and arranged to move in at the end of the week. I did not tell them any of this. I wanted to see how long it would take them to notice that their girls' only paradise was crumbling, and I wanted to see if they would figure out why. The first sign of trouble came on Wednesday morning. I was getting ready for work when I heard Emma yelling from her room. "Why is the internet so slow? I cannot get Instagram to load," Madison called from downstairs. "Netflix is not working either." By the time I left for work, they had figured out that the internet service had been disconnected for non-payment. I got 3 text messages during my morning commute. Emma: "Did you forget to pay the internet bill?" Madison: "Hello. Can you call the internet company?" Mom: "Honey, I think there is some mistake with our internet service." I did not respond to any of them. That evening, when I walked through the door, all 3 of them were waiting for me like an intervention committee. My mom had her phone in her hand and a confused expression on her face. "Dante, I called the internet company and they said our service was canceled for non-payment. But that does not make sense because you always handle these things." I looked at the 3 of them calmly and said the words I had been practicing all day. "No mistake, Mom. I just stopped paying for services that I am not included in discussing." The silence in the room was deafening. Emma was the first to explode. "What do you mean you stopped paying? You cannot just stop paying our bills." I felt a strange sense of peace wash over me. "Watch me." I am tired of being treated like a stranger who happens to live here and pay for everything." Madison looked genuinely confused. "But we include you in everything." I almost laughed. "Really? When was the last time you included me in a family discussion? When was the last time any decision in this house was made with my input? You have a group chat called Johnson Girls Only, where you talk about me behind my back. You celebrate family birthdays without me. You make major decisions about people moving into the house without asking my opinion. So I decided to make some unilateral decisions of my own." Emma was turning red with anger. "This is ridiculous. You are being childish." "I am being practical," I replied. "You all keep telling me that you do not need my input on anything because it is girls only. So now you can handle everything yourselves. Girl power, right?" I walked to my room and closed the door, but I could hear them arguing in frantic whispers in the hallway. Their girls-only group chat was probably lighting up with messages. By Friday, they had restored the internet service, but Emma had to put it on her credit card, and the connection fee alone was $200. I could see the stress starting to show on all their faces. The real panic set in over the weekend when Jake discovered there was no hot water for his shower. The gas bill had not been paid, so the hot water heater was not working. Jake was not nearly as understanding about household inconveniences as he had expected to be. I watched Emma scramble to figure out how to get the gas turned back on, calling utility companies and trying to navigate automated phone systems that she had never had to deal with before. She ended up having to take a cash advance on her credit card to pay the overdue balance plus reconnection fees, which totaled $847. Madison had to drop 2 classes because she could not pay her tuition on time without my help. The deadline had passed, and late enrollment fees would have made it even more expensive. My mom was forced to ask her boss for full-time hours at the nail salon, which she got, but it meant working 6 days a week and coming home exhausted every night. Their girls-only group chat was no longer filled with fun plans and shopping ideas. Now it was all complaints about utility companies, stress about money, and arguments about whose responsibility it was to handle which bills. Jake was getting increasingly difficult to live with as the household stress mounted. He had expected to move into a comfortable situation where everything was taken care of, not a house where the electricity might get shut off at any moment. Emma was starting to look at him differently, too. It is easy to be romantic with someone when you do not have real-world pressures. It is a lot harder when you are both stressed about money and basic survival. After 3 weeks of chaos, my phone rang at 11 p.m. on a Sunday night. It was my mom, and I could hear in her voice that she was crying. "Dante, I am so sorry. We were wrong about everything. We treated you terribly, and I do not know how we did not see it. Can you please come home? We need to talk." The next morning, I got text messages from both Emma and Madison. Emma wrote, "I know you probably hate us right now, but I realize how much you did for this family. I was wrong to exclude you from decisions. I am sorry." Madison's message was shorter but just as sincere. "Please forgive us. We messed up big time." I agreed to meet with them, but I told them it would be on my terms this time. We were going to have a real family meeting, not a girls-only discussion where my opinions did not matter. When I walked into our living room, the 3 of them looked like completely different people than they had a month ago. They looked tired, stressed, and humbled. The house felt different, too. There were unpaid bills scattered on the coffee table, and I could see the weight of financial reality written on all their faces. I sat down and laid out my conditions. If I am going to be part of this family financially, then I am going to be part of this family in every other way, too. No more girls-only decisions about anything that affects the household. No more excluding me from conversations about money, living arrangements, or family plans. No more treating me like an ATM who should just quietly pay for everything while you live your lives without me. My mom nodded immediately. "You are absolutely right. We took you for granted, and we made you feel invisible in your own home." Emma looked ashamed. "I realize now that we made you feel like an outsider while you were supporting all of us. That was not fair," I continued. "Jake needs to contribute $400 a month in rent and utilities, or he needs to move out. Emma, you and Madison both need to get part-time jobs to help with household expenses. I am not your personal bank anymore." Madison spoke up quietly. Jake already moved out. When the electricity got shut off last week, he said this was not what he signed up for. Emma has been staying at her friend's place most nights because she is embarrassed about how everything fell apart. Emma looked like she was about to cry. I got a job at the mall last week. Madison is working at a coffee shop near her school. We are trying to fix this. Over the following months, our family dynamic changed completely. For the first time since Dad died, we started having real conversations about money, responsibilities, and respect. My mom began to understand that excluding me from family decisions had been deeply hurtful even when it was not intended to be malicious. Emma learned that financial independence comes with responsibilities she had never considered. She had to budget for the first time in her life, choosing between going out with friends and paying her portion of the grocery bill. Madison discovered that managing money requires planning and sacrifice. She could not just change her major on a whim anymore, without considering the financial implications for everyone involved. The girls' only group chat was deleted, replaced by a family text thread that included everyone. When we made plans now, they were family plans, not activities I was excluded from. I moved back home eventually, but the power dynamic had shifted permanently. I was no longer the invisible provider. I was a respected member of the family whose opinions mattered and whose presence was valued. Jake never came back, and Emma realized that a relationship built on convenience and financial security from someone else was not really a relationship at all. She is dating someone new now, someone who has his own job and his own goals. Looking back, I realized that the women in my family were not intentionally cruel. They had fallen into a pattern of thinking that providing financially was my role, while making decisions was theirs. They saw me as responsible for funding their lives, but not worthy of participating in them. Sometimes the people who love us most can hurt us deepest, not through malice, but through thoughtlessness. I learned that being generous does not mean being invisible, and being family does not give anyone the right to make you feel like an outsider in your own home. The strongest relationships are built on mutual respect, not one-sided sacrifice. And sometimes the best way to teach people your worth is to show them what life looks like without you. Have you ever felt taken for granted by the people you care about most? Have you been in a situation where your generosity was mistaken for weakness? Share your story in the comments below, because I know I am not the only one who has learned this lesson the hard way. If this story resonated with you, smash that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about family respect and finding your voice. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that their contributions matter and their presence should be valued, not just their wallet. Thank you for listening, and remember that you deserve to be seen, heard, and respected in every relationship that matters to you.